February 17th, 2003, 11:42 a.m. Highway 133, Colorado. 3 seconds. Bill LaChance had 3 seconds between the moment he knew he was going to die and the moment he chose to do something about it. 3 seconds to process what his conscious mind couldn't possibly know, but his body had already decided. 3 seconds between sitting in the cab of a 20-ton snowplow and throwing himself into a snowbank at 40 miles per hour. The rational part of his brain said, stay put, steel cage, roll bars, safety harness, all the engineering designed to keep him alive. The other part, the part that had no words, no logic, no explanation, said, jump. He jumped. 2 seconds later, 30 tons of granite slammed through the windshield where his head had been. Bill LaChance wasn't prone to panic. 52 years old, 18 years with the Colorado Department of Transportation. He'd driven snowplows through whiteout conditions where visibility dropped to 0. He'd cleared mountain passes where one wrong turn meant a 300-foot drop. He knew exactly what his equipment could handle and what it couldn't. Highway 133 between Carbondale and McClure Pass was his regular route. He could drive it in his sleep, had driven it in conditions that might as well have been sleep when the snow came so thick and fast that the world disappeared beyond the reach of his headlights. February storms in Colorado didn't surprise him. They were the job description. That morning's assignment was routine. A rock-scaling crew had been working the cliffs above the highway, removing loose stone before it became a problem. Standard procedure after winter freeze-thaw cycles. LaChance's job was to keep the road clear while they worked, pushing back the snow berms to give traffic room to maneuver around the work zone. He'd been on the road since 0600, 5.5 hours of back and forth, the plow's blade scraping asphalt, the cab warm against the February cold. His mind occupied with the mechanical rhythm of the work. Angle blade, push forward, reverse, repeat. The kind of mental autopilot that comes from doing the same task 1,000 times. 11:42 and 17 seconds. LaChance was making another pass, plow blade down, moving at about 40 miles per hour. The highway curved gently ahead. The rock-scaling crew was visible above, small figures against the cliff face, secured by ropes and harnesses. Normal. Everything was normal. Then something changed. Not in the world around him, in him. He would later struggle to describe it. Not a voice, not a vision, nothing as concrete as a warning or a thought, just an overwhelming certainty, instant and complete, that he needed to be somewhere else. Anywhere else. That the cab of the snowplow had become, in that fraction of a second, the most dangerous place in Colorado. His hands moved before his conscious mind caught up. Left hand released the seatbelt. Right hand grabbed the door handle. He pushed against the door, still moving at 40 miles per hour, and threw himself out. The snowbank caught him like cold concrete. The impact drove the air from his lungs, sent him tumbling, burying him in powder and ice. He came to rest on his back, gasping, confused, the sky spinning above him. The sound came next, not the crash he expected, metal on metal, the crumple of the cab. Something else, a sound like thunder compressed into a single instant, the sound of geological mass in motion. The boulder weighed an estimated 30 tons. Roughly 60,000 pounds of Mesozoic sandstone, part of the cliff face since before humans walked upright. The freeze-thaw cycle had worked, a crack that went back decades, maybe longer. Each winter, water seeped in, froze, expanded. Each spring, it thawed, the crack grew, millimeter by millimeter, season by season, the stone prepared to fall. The rock scaling crew hadn't noticed it. Their job was to clear the obvious hazards, the loose stuff, the rocks you could move with a pry bar. The 30-ton boulder looked solid. It had looked solid for millennia. It let go at 11:42 and 19 seconds, 2 seconds after Bill LaChance jumped from the cab. The boulder fell 340 feet. Basic physics. Distance equals 1/2 acceleration times time squared. It hit terminal velocity before it hit the snowplow. The impact wasn't just the weight of the stone, it was the weight of the stone multiplied by velocity, by momentum, by the simple fact that objects in motion prefer to stay in motion. The boulder went through the snowplow's windshield like the windshield wasn't there. It didn't stop at the windshield. It went through the cab, through the seat where LaChance had been sitting, through the floor, through the chassis. It embedded itself 3 feet into the asphalt beneath the truck. The snowplow, what was left of it, sat there on the highway. The front end compressed into unrecognizable metal, the boulder resting in a crater of shattered pavement and twisted steel. LaChance sat in the snowbank, staring. The rock scaling crew reached him first. They'd seen the whole thing. The boulder falling, LaChance jumping from the moving vehicle, the impact. They couldn't make sense of the sequence. Why would someone bail out of a protected cab into a snowbank at highway speed? How could anyone have known? LaChance didn't have an answer, still doesn't. "I can't explain it," he told investigators later. "I just knew I had to get out. Not thought I should get out, not wondered if I should get out. Knew. Like knowing your hand is on fire before you feel the burn." The Department of Transportation conducted a full investigation. They wanted to understand the failure, how a 30-ton boulder could fall without warning, what the rock scaling crew had missed, whether protocols needed to change. They documented everything: the crack patterns in the cliff face, the impact trajectory, the destruction of the vehicle. They also documented the timeline, from the moment the boulder began to fall to the moment it hit the snowplow, 2.6 seconds. From the moment LaChance jumped to the moment of impact, 2.1 seconds. He couldn't have seen it coming. The boulder fell from directly above and slightly behind his position. His mirrors showed the cliff face, but the rock that killed the snowplow had been invisible until it was already falling. Even if he'd been looking directly at it, the instant it let go, human reaction time, the gap between seeing something and responding to it, averages 0.25 seconds. Add the time needed to unbuckle, open the door, and push himself clear of a moving vehicle. The physics didn't work. Yet he'd jumped. The human brain processes 11 million bits of information every second. We're consciously aware of about 40 bits. The rest runs in the background, monitoring, categorizing, pattern matching, predicting. We notice the heartbeat that's slightly irregular. We sense the person standing too close behind us. We feel the wrongness of a familiar room where something has been moved. Most of the time, we ignore these signals. We override them with logic, with social convention, with the rational mind insisting everything is fine. Sometimes we listen. Gavin de Becker, who spent decades studying violence prediction and survival instincts, called it the gift of fear, that sudden certainty that something is wrong before your conscious mind can articulate why. The woman who refuses to get on the elevator with a stranger, the parent who runs to check on a silent child, the soldier who hits the ground a split second before the mortar round. It's not psychic, it's processing. The brain detecting patterns too subtle for conscious analysis. Micro vibrations in the ground, changes in sound frequency, visual cues we register but don't consciously see. The kind of data that accumulates in the background until it reaches critical mass and erupts into certainty. Bill LaChance had driven Highway 133 hundreds of times. He knew its sounds, its rhythms, its normal. Perhaps his brain registered something abnormal in those seconds before the boulder fell. A vibration through the truck's frame, a change in the acoustic environment, a shadow or movement in his peripheral vision that didn't compute. Or perhaps it was simpler than that. Perhaps 18 years of driving snowplows had calibrated his nervous system to detect danger in ways he couldn't articulate. The same way a pilot feels when a plane's performance degrades before the instruments show a problem. The same way a surgeon knows a procedure is going wrong before the monitor's alarm. LaChance walked away with bruises and a story nobody fully believed. The snowplow became a total loss, replaced by the state. The rock scaling crew revised their protocols. The cliff face got a more thorough inspection. He went back to work 3 weeks later. Same route, same job, different truck. The question followed him. Reporters asked it. Co-workers asked it. He asked it himself, lying awake at night, replaying those 3 seconds. How did you know? I didn't know, he said finally. I just knew. It's an answer that satisfies nobody and explains everything. We want mechanisms. We want to understand cause and effect, stimulus and response. We want the story to make sense in ways that fit our model of how reality works. But reality doesn't care about our models. A man jumped from a snowplow 2 seconds before a boulder crushed it. Not because he saw it coming, he couldn't have. Not because he calculated the odds, there wasn't time. He jumped because something deeper than thought, older than language, louder than logic, said jump. And he trusted it. 3 seconds. It's not much time, barely long enough to register that something is happening, let alone decide what to do about it. But Bill LaChance didn't decide. That's the crucial detail everyone misses when they hear the story. He didn't weigh options, didn't consider consequences, didn't think about safety harnesses or the danger of jumping from a moving vehicle or whether his insurance would cover it. He acted. The rational mind, the part that talks to us in words and weighs pros and cons, is slow. It's powerful, sophisticated, capable of remarkable things, but it's slow. It needs time to process, to analyze, to conclude. The survival brain is fast. Millions of years of evolution compressed into reflex. It doesn't debate. It doesn't second guess. When it says run, you run. When it says jump, you jump. LaChance's rational brain would have killed him, would have kept him strapped in the cab, protected by steel and engineering, right up until 30 tons of stone erased the distinction between protected and exposed. His survival brain saved him. The boulder sits there still, embedded in Highway 133. The state left it. Too heavy to move economically, no longer a threat, now that it's down. They paved around it, made it part of the roadbed. Drivers pass over it every day without knowing what it represents. Bill LaChance knows. Every time he drives that route, he sees it. A memorial to the moment between knowing and thinking, to the intelligence that lives in muscle and nerve and ancient brainstem, to the 3 seconds that separated his life from his death. He jumped. The boulder fell. He lived. And somewhere in those 3 seconds lies a truth we spend most of our lives trying to ignore, that we know more than we think we know, that certainty sometimes arrives without explanation, that the voice in our head that says, move, just because it can't show its work. Bill LaChance listened to that voice. That's the only reason anyone knows his name.